And I'm Paris.
And we're the Model Mothers. On today's episode, we're going to be sharing our birth stories. So, I only have one birth story. Mom has two. So, Mom, why don't you start us off? How did you bring to life
This beauty.
this girl right here?
Wow, where do I start, guys? This beauty wasn't easy to bring in this world. It was in UK. It was again just me and my husband, and my parents were in Kenya. And so when the labor started, I just panicked because I didn't know what to expect. We then lived in Watford, and so my birthday was supposed to be
December 7th. I was late, right?
Yes. So when now finally, the labor started, I was like, we need to go to dinner.
But how did it start? Did your water break? How did you know you were in labor?
Water wasn't broke yet. I keep on telling you, this is why you guys were discussing generation. These guys have, Google that. When you feel like this, what is that? How many more minutes do we have to wait before we go to the hospital? How many hours? And then you have a doctor like there answering. We didn't have none of that. So now, any little pain was I panicked, right? Like, this is getting
abnormal.
Okay, my doctor had told me when they're called what?
Contractions.
Yeah, contractions start.
Yeah.
They might get closer together. That's the time you now know time to go.
Yep.
But who is me? I was like, no, it's coming. Maybe we need to go. So your dad, it's just the two of us. Come on, guys, cut me some slack. I was only 22, and my husband wasn't any better. He was 23, going to 24, I think.
I was
like
23.
So we now get in the car and we go. And of course, they looked and they said, we're
not ready.
We're going to have to send you back home. Do you have stairs?
Rushing.
Do you have stairs? You need to go on the stairs, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, for maybe the next 5 hours, and then you can come back in. I couldn't believe it. I was crying. I was like, oh my God, first she was overdue. Now she's punishing me. What? And I was so big. I was so tiny, you guys. And then this girl was so big. You know when she was born, how much she weighed? This girl was big. She was big.
Going with the story.
So, eventually, the labor started. Water broke, and we went back to the hospital, and I started pushing and pushing, and I couldn't push. I couldn't push no more. And then they said, the pain was too much. I needed to have epidural.
Yeah.
Now, I was like, okay, whatever will take this pain away. Just do it. Get this thing out of me. I've had enough now. She needs to come out. I need to see her. And if you know me, I'm a very emotional person, but this time I am crying because I just hope my baby is okay. I'm not crying because of anything else. I could handle the pain, I think. It's the worry that she's been in my stomach for so long. What's happening? I didn't understand this overdue thing. I'm like, oh my God, I just need this baby out. I want to see she's okay. So anyway, on that process of epidural and everything, I got epidural. Still, I couldn't push. And this girl here decided to swallow some poops.
It's called, what is it? It starts with an M.
And then
meconium, something like that. Facts.
And then all of a sudden, her oxygen level was going down. I started getting distressed, and all of a sudden, all I remember, to be quite honest, you guys, a blackout, and I hear them telling my husband, you need to sign here because we are losing both of them or one of them. That's all I remember. But the next thing I knew, I woke up with a baby, not in my lap, and with a lot of pain, and I was wondering what happened. I ended up having C-section, emergency C-section, and when I woke up, I'm not lying, I never saw my daughter until 8 hours later when she was born because I was out of it. So you came in this world with trouble. And from that minute...
8 pounds I was?
Yeah, you were such a big baby. But from that moment when I saw you, I promised to always protect you because I was like, oh my God, we almost died, both of us. So now that God has given us another chance, we're always gonna love on each other. And I think that can explain why me and Sandra were so, because we're really close with that. From that day, she was always here, even when every time she was, until her sister came. Even today, this one will come and lie on my lap or do something. She always wants mama lap, then the other one. She still needs mommy love.
How did you choose the name Sandra?
Okay.
Full name Sandra Wangechi Bhuthia, but don't steal my identity then.
Here's the story. Sandra wasn't going to be called Sandra. I didn't care for that name. I really wanted to call her Tatiana. You know, there's so many names. Chantel. There's so many names.
Chantel.
Yeah, we love so many. But then now, when the panic thing happened, when everything went haywire and from normal birth to C-section to we could die, my husband panicked. So when the baby was born, he was asked, so what's the baby name? And he said Sandra Bullock movie was on then. There was a new movie that was out, and he just went Sandra. Her name is Sandra Wangechi Bhuthia. Wangechi is his mother.
My social.
And so that is how Sandra ended up. So Sandra Bullock.
Thanks, Sandra Bullock. Miss Congeniality.
I gave back to you right here by default.
Okay.
So how is your story?
Ooh, so mine is less dramatic. No one almost died in the process of giving birth, thank God. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and you know, not sleeping well because it's hard to sleep with this belly. And I get up because I'm like, I'm just gonna I feel like I need to use the bathroom, and I get up on the bed and just like my water broke, kind of broke. And I'm like, did I just pee? Was I so bad that I couldn't even make to the bathroom? But I get up and I turn my phone flashlight on, and I see that it's tinged a little pink. And I'm like, oh my God, it's finally happening. So I was 38 weeks. So I was 2 weeks early. And honestly, I was praying that I'd be a week or two early. I didn't want to go to 40 weeks. I was tired of being pregnant. And so I wake Christian up. I'm like, hey, Christian, my water just kind of broke. And he's like, oh my God, are we going to the hospital? I'm like, no, it's okay. Let's just go back to sleep. And he's like, what? And I'm like, it wasn't a lot. I don't have any contractions. I don't feel any pain. It wasn't blood red and nothing bad. Let's just go back to sleep.
I can't believe it.
So we kind of went back to sleep. I could not really sleep. And then I would say around 4 in the morning, I started having contractions, but really random, really short. They were lasting maybe 10 seconds, and then it would happen, and then 30 minutes would pass. So then I started counting them just to be sure, and then by 6, 7 in the morning, then I kind of started having more legit contractions, would last 30 seconds every 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And so Christian's like, okay, are you good? I'm like, yeah, but I think we should get a hospital bag, come upstairs. And I'm like, hey guys, because we lived here at my parents' home. I'm like, hey mom and dad, guess what? They're like, what? My water broke. And they're like, when?
Yeah, because you strength, Sandra. I swear, this girl, me her strength, I have never, she's even saying, make me breakfast.
So my big thing was, I was like, I need to have a nice meal before I go to the hospital, because who knows how long I'm gonna be there, how long labor. You're not allowed to eat during labor, and hospital food sucks. So Christian made me nice breakfast, and now it's around 10:30, and I'm like, contracting, and I'm like, and so now my family's like, maybe you should call the hospital. And Christian's family's like, you should try calling the hospital. So I'm like, fine, let me finish my sandwich and call the hospital.
Me and your dad, I was going upstairs in my bedroom and I'm locking myself there praying, God please, make my daughter have some sense to go to the hospital now.
So remember how mom was like, oh, I didn't wait for my contraction, I just went, and she was sent back? So you're supposed to wait. It's called 411.
I know.
Every 4 minutes or four whatever the number is. Every 4 minutes, it lasts for a minute for an hour. That hadn't happened yet, but it was getting painful. So I'm like, okay, I called the hospital, and remember this is during pandemic time. So with the hospital, you were not getting admitted until they were sure, right? I didn't want to make the trip for nothing, so I called them and they're like, okay, so your water broke and you didn't come in. I'm like, oh no, I didn't have contractions. They're like, okay, you can come in. So we get in the car, I say bye to my family. I'm like, I'll see you guys in an hour or whatever. I was like, maybe we're gonna go back. I was admitted. They checked me out, and the sad thing was, because of COVID, Christian had to wait in the car first. I go in, they check me out, and it took like maybe an hour before between the getting seen, getting checked, the OB saying, oh yeah, she's in labor. I think I was only like 1 centimeter dilated, but they're like, we'll check you in. And then Christian could come in. They moved us to a birthing suite. And so now it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's been 12 hours since water broke till now. Checked in the hospital gown. And like, I'm feeling okay, but they're getting really bad. And I'm like not feeling great. And so then I was like, so when can I get an epidural? To the nurse.
You were asking for it.
Hey, I knew I would need it. So the nurse was like, oh yeah, let me call the whatever they're called. I can't remember the name right now, but the guy who does it. And they're like, yeah, you'll be next to get it. He should be here in about an hour or so. So by 2:30 now, I'm getting my epidural. Again, COVID, giving birth during a pandemic. So Christian wasn't allowed to be in the room while I was getting the epidural because they're trying to, anesthesiologists, that's what they're called. Because they didn't want so many people in the room with the anesthesiologist because the anesthesiologist is going to many different people, so they're trying to limit. So Christian had to leave for that. And it was like really hard, and like literally the nurse was actually so nice because she's like, okay, let's do this. And I'm like crying while getting the epidural, and she's like, oh, it's so sorry, it's okay, it's almost done. And the guy doing it was also very nice. And now I have an epidural and I feel great. I'm like, wow, giving birth easy, contractions easy.
Jeez, this girl.
Because I had an epidural. And I couldn't feel my legs were numb, and I was just chilling. But it does feel uncomfortable after a while, especially because you can't move, okay? And so now it's like 7 o'clock at night. Let's just fast forward because I was progressing, but they were like, you're not giving birth today, sorry. And I'm like, oh man. So now the whole team has changed. A new OB comes in, new nurses come in. It's a whole new shift, right? And now it's finally the next day, so it's after midnight. And they're like, okay, you're like 7 centimeters dilated. We're thinking early morning delivery. Now they were worried because I was having high blood pressure because of the pregnancy, and so they were like concerned. So my blood pressure was being monitored. They gave me meds to lower it, but the baby was okay. So they were like, in case I might have needed a C-section to have a good delivery. And luckily the meds worked, didn't have to. So now it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. The OB comes in and she's like, it's time. And I'm like, ah! And they're like, we're gonna practice pushing. They're like, wow, you're doing great. They're like, can you feel it? And I'm like, nope, I'm just trying to push even though I cannot feel anything. But they're like, you're doing great. And literally by like 2:45 in the morning,
baby was born.
Popped out the baby.
And the way we had planned how I'll be there giving you, ice chips.
I know.
Massaging you. But thank you, COVID. You stole that one from me.
Yeah. So gave birth, and oh my god, I remember hearing her cry. And she came out, and my eyes are closed because I'm pushing so hard, so hard. And the OB's like, Mama, look! And I open my eyes, and I'm like, oh my god! Oh my god, she's Christian, look, she's there! And I couldn't believe, and then they had to go take a check. I'm like, oh my god, Christian, she's not crying. But it literally had been like 30 seconds since they showed me the baby. But you know, you're emotional.
Yeah.
And then you hear the sweet, beautiful sound of the crying. I know mommy didn't get to have that with me. I feel so bad. But as soon as she started crying, I felt like so relieved. And then they brought her to me and we had skin to skin. And me and Christian are just crying. I'm like, oh my god, the baby, she's so sweet. And she's crying and everybody's crying and I'm so happy.
So would you advise somebody to take an epidural for it?
Yes.
I mean,
credit to those people who are like, they'd rather just do it like fully, like naturally.
Yeah.
But that wasn't me. Contractions already hurt, and I knew myself I'd probably be asking for it further down the line. And they say that when you get an epidural later in your labor, it doesn't take as effect as well.
Here's a question for you, because I know as we wrap it up, because I know a lot of people go through this and hear this, because women are women. Sometimes we are our worst enemies. We put others down. You will hear some people say,
judge. Oh, you had an epidural? I gave birth with no meds.
Do you feel any less of a mother or a woman just because you use epidural?
No. I feel like however way you give birth, if you plan your C-section, because lots of women do that, 40 weeks, they say, hey, on the day, plan C-section if the baby doesn't come, epidural, no epidural, home birth, water birth, so much.
Do you?
do what
For
makes
me-
you feel comfortable to bring a child into this world.
Exactly. As for me, because Sandra came through C-section, which
Yeah.
I didn't plan. I planned to give natural birth, but it
Yeah.
happened. So for my second baby now, who again came early, she was a little preemie. I had planned already. I had planned C-section. I was like, it doesn't make sense. I had
To
one
go in.
C-section. The second one, let it
At
be.
least
I don't
be
want to go through
prepared.
the same scare that I went through.
A lot of women feel like that.
And so I'm like, let's just schedule this C-section
Yeah.
thing. I'm okay. And so to me, do I feel any different than a woman who gave birth
Like
natural?
naturally, or-
I don't know, because I don't even know what that is. You see?
Me either.
So I don't have nothing to compare with.
You know we're pregnant for 9 months. You still
Exactly.
delivered your baby. It's just a different method, and I don't think that you
Different
should judge.
body.
And you shouldn't judge other moms for how they give
No,
birth.
you should never. Different
let
body,
them
different
do.
reaction. Different mother,
Exactly.
different reaction. So please never feel pleasure to, oh, I must just take it and have. If you can give birth natural, God bless you. There's some people who I know,
Kudos.
they go in
And
and they're out within half an hour. They've had that baby, they just pushed once and the baby is out. So you cannot compare yourself. Just do you, and you know, this baby is a gift from God anyway. So let it come in this world the way God wanted it to
Don't
come.
give yourself unnecessary pain.
There you go, guys. I hope we're just sharing our truth here, and I hope you're enjoying it and you're learning from us as we are learning from you, because we want to hear. You're writing to us and you're telling us what you want to hear next. Please continue doing that.
Yes.
We're taking note and we appreciate.
Like, subscribe, do what you gotta do on your platform. Make sure to follow us on our social medias. On Instagram and Facebook, I'm at SanXStyles, and Mom,
I'm on Paris Bouthia Everything, from our family to your family.
thank you so much for watching. This was Model Mothers, and we'll see you next episode. Bye.
Give me